What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so I first saw Dreamers Pro talking about this. Salute to him for being the first one I saw talking about this breaking story. Please subscribe to his platform. So, apparently, according to various reports, Molly Qerim, longtime ESPN sports personality, best known for her longtime stint now, some 10 years of hosting ESPN First Take, will be leaving the network after this year. I think she'll be leaving at the end of 2025, right? Now, apparently, according to what I've heard and a little bit what I read, Molly Qerim was offered an undisclosed sum, which, as far as contract renewal, but she declined. So she will be leaving and going. I don't know what her ultimate plans are. Maybe Fox Sports or FS1, or maybe, some podcast for the time being. I don't know. Or maybe even another. Well, no, I think it was, I was going to say another ESPN program, but I forgot. She's not leaving the show. She's leaving ESPN. So no, that's not going to be it. Let me say this. I remember, I give credit where credit's due, and I saw Carcino talk about this on one of his videos today. I remember beginning of the year, myself and 70 Sports TV, we were talking about this chick. I think her name is Nikita Pearson, right? She goes around calling herself Mrs. Stephen A. Smith. The few people who talk about her call her the crazy chick, right? But there's various photos to prove that at the very least, at one point in time, she was in a relationship with Stephen A. Smith. She said at the beginning of this year that Molly Qerim would be out of ESPN by the end of the year. She said that. Everybody thought she was crazy. Now, there's a lot of other things she says about Molly Qerim. And, I'll just put it to you like this. I think that Molly Qerim is a product of the sleaze environment to a certain extent that permeates in these types of male-dominated venues like sports, okay? From what I've read and researched, before Molly Qerim even went into the world of sports, she used to be an intern. I guess this is when she was in her 20s. She used to be an intern to Conan O'Brien. I think this is when Conan O'Brien was hosting his show on NBC before he was briefly the host of Tonight Show. Now, I can't say this for certain, but allegedly, Conan O'Brien was tapping that, okay? Because, it's just the environment that permeates in Hollywood, and it's a quid pro quo town. You get this for that. And Molly was a person who was willing to give it up if she thought it would advance her career. So then the next time we really see Molly is when she's on the NFL Network. And we know she purposely wore short skirts. We all remember that little infamous little skit that she did with, was it Terrell Davis? She was hiking the ball, and Terrell was in a compromising, well, not compromising, but in a very titillating angle with her. right? And she was all down for it. Then all of a sudden, I think this was after she left the NFL Network. It had to be afterwards because this was right around the time I think she left and then joined ESPN and became the moderator of ESPN First Take when the MeToo movement was starting off. Just around that time, then all of a sudden she wants to complain about, you know, mistreatment and feeling pressured to dress a certain type of way, blah, 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 yaggity schmackety. So for the last 10 years, she's been the moderator of ESPN First Take. And, you know, generally speaking, while Molly Qerim is a very attractive woman, and while she dresses very well, we all give her credit on that, she's rather annoying. And when it comes to, after a while, the looks thing and all that gets a little bit old or stale. And then you begin to focus on the things that you don't like about Molly. One of them is sometimes she wants to get too involved in the conversation as far as debate is concerned. Secondly, she didn't really add anything of substance to the debate. At least add something of substance. She didn't do that. So it got to a point where a lot of fans, including myself, were kind of sick of her. You know, I preferred, if I remember correctly, before her it was Carrie Champion. At least a couple of years before that, I preferred Carrie Champion over her. But it is what it is. So Molly Qerim, I think, I don't know, man. I'm going off of just using my common sense and listening to other people who have more in-depth information than me, and just going off of that, right? I think that she's 41 years old right now, so she's still a relatively young woman. But I think she feels like at this point in time she's maxed out as far as how high she's going to get with ESPN. She's not going to get the money that she thinks she's going to, that she probably thinks she's entitled to. I think that's a major determining factor. I think also, when you look at the fact that Stephen A. Smith is pretty much the only guy that's making buku amount of money. And she probably looks at the fact that I've been on this network for 10 years. I'm only making X amount of dollars. This guy's making all this fucking money. And, another thing I'm starting to pick up too is I think she's kind of, I don't know, man. I get the impression she doesn't really like Stephen A. like they kind of pretend to be or profess to be. Maybe at one point in time they were cool, but I think that once again, the Nikita Pearson chick, I think she's right on the money, man. I think that Molly, had some issues with Stephen A. Smith behind the scenes. I don't know if all the stuff she's saying is true, but you know, when you look at the fact that now we're in a situation where a lot of people see, this is the thing about the Me Too movement. I do think that many of these executives now are in a new environment where they're no longer engaged in these quid pro quo situations with women based upon their looks. If you do this for me, then you get this. Now that's a good thing if you're truly looking for equality. But there's also women who have no problems doing that. Now the executives are hesitant to get involved in these type of situations. Now those chicks are fucked over. So I don't know, you know. And I know I said about a million times in this video. But I won't miss Molly. I don't know what her plans are, but you know, I said it again. Take a shot every time. Like I was saying, I think that her run is over. You know, I said it again. When does that become one of my little trademarks? Is that something I'm adding in my vocabulary or something now? Like, that's one of my little fillers. I know I say "and" a lot, and but I guess I do say a lot. Hey, this is a breakthrough for me. I didn't realize how many times I say the phrase "as a filler." I got to work on that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I demand better of myself than to use that filler that often. But anyway, I'm done. Tell me what you guys think.